We're going live. How's everyone out there doing? Hello, my friends. Thanks for joining us. We're here for Mod City Live Spring Break. This is Voltage Control Lab, voltagecontrollab.com, at VControl Lab on Twitter, at Voltage Control Lab on Instagram. Uh, yeah, if you like the video, give us a like and a subscribe and a share if you're feeling it. And sounds a little crackly. My headphones or it's maybe the microphone. Check, check. Okay, that seems a little bit better. We'll see. My name is Joe. I also go by Computo at Computo on everything: Spotify, SoundCloud, Instagram, all of that stuff. I'm a teacher at Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California, as well as Icon Collective in Burbank, California. And yeah, here we are. We're going to make a track today. We've got the Elements Nyan Cat up here. We've got Dancing Baby in the back. We've got our good friend Air Humping Maths to my right. So just going to keep trying to add to this uh, GIF madness as we carry on. And, in coming weeks, I mean, you know what? This microphone situation is bugging me. Give me 1 second. I'm going to mute this. No crackling there. Maybe it's my headphones. Okay, well, I'll live with it. If you hear any weirdness on my voice, any rustling or crackling, let me know because something's going on and it's going to drive me bananas, I swear. All right, so today we are doing some live production. Oh, yeah, there it is. I think it's my audio interface, perhaps. Let's just fix this in Ableton. That might be the problem. Nope. Okay, well, we'll see. Anyway, today we are taking an adventure. We're going to produce a track in real time. And okay, sweet. It must be my audio interface output. Deal. We're going to produce a track. I'm going to let you guys lead me on the way a bit. I'm going to let you help me decide what to make and what style, what genre. We're going to learn about it a little bit together and make a track as fast as we can. We'll see how long it takes to do that. All right. Uh, I guess we'll try to use the modular a bit. We'll see what comes of that. We're going to try to use this new sample pack. Just doing a cat check. No cat in the box right now. We're going to use the sample pack from Jamie LIDELL, who, if you guys don't know Jamie LIDELL, you should know Jamie LIDELL. I learned of and got into his music back in the early 2000s when I was really on the whole Warp Records, IDM bandwagon. That was my bag. It's still my bag. Those are really probably some of my favorite artists of all time. And so that led me to Jamie LIDELL. It was also a deep interest in Max, trying to get into Max MSP at the time, trying to learn to program, to create, to make music with Max, which is effectively a coding application. It's a graphic coding language or programming environment, basically. And Jamie LIDELL was an artist who was kind of going beyond what a lot of the IDM artists were doing and bringing maybe much more accessible flavor, but using extremely complicated technology. Max patches that he built to process his voice. I would say he's maybe more of an R&B style singer, something like that. I don't know how he would characterize his own voice, but really incredible singer, incredibly talented musician. And then on top of that, he's doing all of this creating and execution of custom performance tools, and that always blew me away. And I saw him perform in LA at the Troubadour in probably 2005 or 6, and I've been really just obsessed with him ever since. He does a great podcast called Audio Files. I'd have to okay. I'm gonna have to look up the name, but it's audio files like the audio obsessive type people. Hanging out with audio files, excuse me. And he's got an uh, SoundCloud channel with all of his podcasts up there, and just an incredibly inspiring individual. So the other day, he put out this. Oh, he was on Sonic Talk today. Good point. I didn't get a chance to watch today yet, but he is often a guest on Sonic State. He, that's a generally a bunch of saucy Brits talking audio and music tech. And if you guys don't know Sonic State, you should check out Sonic State. But yeah, he's often a guest on that show. Really informative and useful podcast that they do. It's awesome. Or show, live show. Okay, now then, he created a loop pack. I'll link it here in in the chat. I suppose I should put it in the video description too. Um, this is on Bandcamp. You can go over and pay what you like. I would say be generous if you can. But this is a sample library that he's created in response to one that I believe Heinbach created. Yeah, Heinbach companion sample. I'm not speaking so well today. And so we're going to maybe use some bits from that as well and make something together. What should we make? We're going to listen to some of these pieces today and see what we can use. But chop them up, destroy them. The other day, somebody suggested lo-fi of some sort. We could make a lo-fi house track, lo-fi hip hop. I don't know. What's the crowd think? What are your opinions? And if you have any thoughts on what type of animated module GIFs I should make, yes, they're called GIFs. I don't care what the guy who invented them says. They're GIFs. It's graphics with a hard G. GIFs. What should we make today? No votes? Okay. Well, I'm just going to go with what we talked about last time then. And we're going to go with maybe lo-fi house. See if we get any last minute chat suggestions here. But nothing coming in on the Instagram either. So, all right. Excuse me. Okay. We're going to do lo-fi house then. Maybe next time we'll do lo-fi hip hop. And so, what is lo-fi house? Let's consider what that is. Let's go to the internet and let's Google lo-fi house. I kind of know what lo-fi house is, but if we come on here, we might find some videos. Here's some uh, information about lo-fi house. Oh, this is an artist named Lo-Fi. No, it's not. It's really just lo-fi house mixes. Um, Stoner house. We see some imagery that might be reminiscent of vaporwave. Here's some articles. What is, or a starter guide to lo-fi house. 7 tracks that prove it's more than a fad. So we can find some of the quintessential flavors. Has underground house finally run out of ideas? Well, that was in 1986. Oh no, 2016. Okay. Is lo-fi house the first genre of the algorithm age? Well, we're not here to answer that question so much, but let's see what we can find out about house. Maybe we should have looked up that suggestion, lo-fi house. Or is that going to take us to like a fraternity house website? No. Okay. So maybe we can look it up on Wikipedia. Lo-fi music. Outsider house. Chill out house music. Chill out music. Okay. So the opposite of hi-fi. Thanks, Wikipedia. Lo-fi, of course, is short for low fidelity, right? That's kind of uh, the acronym, if you would. Why won't this pull out? There we go. Just trying to get you guys down here so I can see what you're saying. House metal when that happens. Then we reach the end. Yeah, I mean, we're getting maybe in that direction with the modern bass house sound to some degree, but I think there's going to be a tendency for some people to take that further towards that kind of what's the word I'm looking for, bro step vibe. But you know, we'll see what happens with that. I actually really love bass house as it is. Maybe we'll put a little bit of that aesthetic in here. Okay, characteristics. Lo-fi aesthetics are based on idiosyncrasies that arise during the recording process. Idiosyncrasies that arise during the recording process would suggest that low fidelity vibe, right? That's where the lo-fi comes from, is some quirkiness in the actual recording process, which traditionally leaves us with some color in the flavor of the sound, as opposed to our modern DAW-based recordings where we're using super high quality audio interfaces. Even the cheapest mics are super, or not maybe super high quality, but they're good enough quality. We can record our voice with our phone and get good quality recordings from that. We're talking about finding ways to make some interesting audio degradation, right? Some kind of distorted, deconstructed quality to what kind of by definition today is all hi-fi. So that means we need to look to quirky methods. We need to find ways to destroy things. We need to try to find ways to inject life and modulation and quirkiness and weirdness into a process that might otherwise be extremely, extremely clean. So, and they go into some detail here about harmonic distortion, things being amplified beyond the dynamic range of a plugin or a device. And, they're talking about distortion, saturation, analog, in quotes, flavors, things like this. And likely to have little or no frequency information above 10 kilohertz. Interesting. Generally, lo-fi recordings are likely to have little or no frequency information above 10 kilohertz. Big interesting piece of information right there, right? What do we usually think of when we think of a lower quality recording, like an old dusty record or a beat up tape or something like this? What flavor do these things have? You know, what is the sound of a transistor radio from the 60s? Things like this, right? There's certain things that might not be present. We didn't have the uh, technology or the designs maybe for speakers, for devices with the kind of definition and clarity that we have today. And so when we think about those things, we can actually even see it up here in this. Journalists from the 2010s would indiscriminately apply bedroom pop, music that sounded fuzzy, warm, punchy, sounds like it's recorded onto a broken answering machine, right? So, big, little, big indications in this article, just in the kind of aesthetic approach to the production, what the sound is going to uh, uh, what kind of flavor the sound is going to have, and we're going to need to largely inject that because we're not dealing with tape. We're not dealing with old shitty preamps. We're not, maybe we could. In fact, I would suggest that you go to the Goodwill when we can leave the house and buy a cheap tape player, a used tape player, something, even just a handheld, you know, kids tape player would be an interesting tool as long as it has input and output to record audio into and then back out of. Even on a fully composed piece on the computer, there's going to be some inherent quality change, and you might be able to play with that and get all kinds of interesting things to happen. Um, and if you can find one with maybe speed control, then we can start to alter the whole character of a track. Okay, so we get into some techniques here, some instrumentation. This is really mostly talking about lo-fi as a larger scene, not so much house. So might help to know a little bit about house music, and we can look that up. Not going to waste too much more time on this. Not that this is a waste of time, but it is. I do want to get to the actual production because then we have to burn through that. Okay. Sweatshirt's coming off. Okay. 4 on the floor beat. 120 to 130 beats per minute. We got a mix. We got the whole history of house music. Up here it says, subculture began altering disco dance tracks to give them more mechanical beats and deeper bass lines. That looks like Victor Wooten. Oh, and the bass lines link. And okay, so we might find here instrumentations, drum machines, 707, 808, 909, synthesizers, vocals, right? There's the TB303 is listed there. And laptop. I don't know about that, but so we're really looking at 120, 130 beats per minute, 4x4, 4/4 rhythms, and time signature, bass drums, offbeat hi hats. Right, that's that type of thing. Snares or claps, synth riffs, all of this stuff. Congas or bongos, maybe added for an African sound. I don't know about this sentence. One of signature rhythm riffs is built on the clave pattern. Yeah, there's some wonky writing in here, but we're not gonna judge that. Okay, so I think we're getting some information here. This is a great article, by the way. You can, aside from some of that bit of questionable writing. Okay, let's shrink that down. Let's get to it. So we need a beat. It gave us a couple of kits that we could try. I like actually to use this drum tool from Reactor. Maybe I'll show you guys this. Well, we're not going to do a lot of showing. We're going to do more getting it done. I'll try to narrate as I go, though. What's up, Wambra, Grant, HR, O'Sherry, Curtains, One On? Great to see you all. Magna, thank you for hopping in, everybody. And we are making a lo-fi house track right now. Yes, I was not talking off the top of my head there. I think congos and bongos might add an Afro-Cuban sound. Depends on what drum you use. I suppose you could have a taste of that. I mean, it's a Chicago sound ultimately. If you want to get some African house, I would suggest you all check out Om. GQOM is the genre. Oops, not W. Om is one of the coolest styles of music, I think, of probably the last 20 years. And it's basically house music that is, filtered through its regional place of birth, which is Durban, South Africa. It's really rhythm and percussion heavy kind of house music. It's really very cool stuff. But yeah, Congo or bongo is probably not going to take us into an African sound, as that article suggested. Okay, so I'm going to open up Reactor 6. I'm going to go to the play section, and I like Polyplex. And we'll probably have to sample this because Polyplex does get a little bit heavy on the CPU at a certain point. Polyplex is an 8-channel sample layering tool, and there it goes. And it's not liking all of the CPU usage. Let's turn on this channel. Okay, it is on. Okay, let's turn down the level. Okay, well, here's an interesting thing about Reactor that might work into our whole plan. If we look up here, Reactor has its own CPU indicator, and it's telling us we're way over CPU limit. So we're going to click where it says sample, the sample rate, 48 kilohertz. And down here, we can downsample the whole thing. Let's just take it all the way to like 16 hertz, 16 kilohertz rather. Not noticing a lot of difference there. Let's try another one. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. And now we hear there's like a grittiness. If you want something that sounds a little bit more maybe like the MPC, then we might go down to like 32 kilohertz. We'd ideally want, you can't see it. Oh, it's because it's up there under my face. Sorry. There we go. Okay. This is what I was talking about. Up here in the upper right-hand corner. Hopefully now you can see it. The the I have to shrink my face, I think. So yeah, there's a CPU meter right up here in the upper corner of reactor, and usually this is going to say whatever the system CPU is, 48 kilohertz, and so I'm setting that to one of these lower factors, and that's going to instantly lower the quality of the audio output. So take it back up here for a second. Let's see if it breaks. Sounds pretty clean, but at 12,000, sounds way crunchier. So what I like to do is come into, we've got a ton of presets, and each one of these could be like a whole track. But if we come down to the templates under the embedded preset banks and go to template and then maybe the template analog. Okay. So my latency is really bad right now, so we're gonna probably hear some bad latency. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna program some beats, and then we will record them out. Okay, the other thing we're gonna do, the thing that kind of makes this my go-to tool, is that up at the top we have this randomize dice button here, and this randomizes the samples that are layered in each one of these channels. Each one of these has up to 4 different samples layered, and they might have funky tuning, they might have different start times. There's, basically banks and then folders of sounds, and then you use this little slider to choose which sample out of that folder. But I don't want to have to go through all that. I just want to randomize it a bunch of times and get a completely different collection of sounds. That's pretty cool for me. Okay, so now we're going to make a couple of beats, and we're going to do this by just clicking and writing in. Just switch to pencil tool, hit the B button. Excuse me, dry throat. And these just follow the white keys on the C3 octave. So, okay, and let's just turn off the sends and returns and the in out. Oh, that's one thing I can get rid of here. Let's just get rid of these return tracks, which have pretty hefty plugins on them. Okay, so here we go. I got very simple kick drum pattern. I'm going to Control D or Command D if you're on a Mac, duplicate that, and now I can make a variation. Oops. Excuse me, dry throat today. Okay. Need a little bit of swing in there. We'll duplicate that again, just making a simple one, and then we can add in our I like the idea of slowing this down a little bit. Good idea, VM. Good to see you, by the way. Logic as gate sequences or drum triggers. Yes, I think that would be a good conversation topic. Okay, let's duplicate that. and then maybe we'll make. Okay, the other thing we can do, since we're still in this mode, let's just simplify everything until it's time to record. Okay, so the other thing we can do is we can come in and we can change the decay time for samples. For instance, that hi-hat. Okay, and maybe we can duplicate that. Come on, there we go. We'll make a version that has no kick drum. We could maybe create now that in addition to those first 4 notes. Gotta remember my face is up there. In addition to these first 4 notes, kick, snare, closed, and open hi-hat, we have kind of another set. Kick, snare, shaker, maybe. Yeah. Some ugly crash. So that 8th one is always maybe a wild card. But okay, but we can maybe make another little beat with those, just as like an alternative beat. We can color this clip a little bit differently so we don't get it confused with the other ones. And this will be on G. And I want to have like a little bit of velocity variation here. So maybe I'll take these two, change their velocity. Something like that. And then I'll just highlight those 4 notes and duplicate them a couple of times. Something like that. Oh, we got some Norwegians in the house? What up to my fellow Norwegians? I'm not Norwegian, but hello. And I'm a fan of Norwegians. We've had a number of Norwegian students the last couple of terms at Musicians Institute, and they're some high achieving producers, I have to say. Got some great producers over there. Check out Jiggy Panda. Okay, we're making some headway. And we could even maybe build in. House beats are never really complete until we maybe extend them a little bit. So maybe we duplicate the loop. And maybe we just have that anticipation in the first. And we could add some swing. If you want to add swing in Ableton, this is where things get a little weird. We have to use what are called grooves. And if we open up this groove pool here, we can right click and select Browse Groove Library. And the browser up here switches to our swing and groove folder, and we can come in here and pick some swings. And we can also extract swings from recordings. Let's go with something like that. We can kind of hear there's like a preview click. I think it's like MPC 64. That's like That's like the like garage shuffle. So what if we take something like this and we just add a little bit of that swing? None. It's really subtle. Okay, it's really simple, right? Like it now, okay, let's talk a couple of quick tips. But if you're making house music, this is just from my own in-depth investigation, because I've spent a lot of time the last few years investigating house music, like getting in there. Okay, now there's small differences between a good beat and a really good beat, a great beat. And one of those differences I find is that snare drums or claps, whatever is kind of doing our backbeat reinforcement, right? The backbeat is the 2 and the 4. Uh, and this goes back to funk and disco and all of this stuff. And depending on what style you're, or even jazz, depending on what style you're trying to get to, the timing of some of the drum notes might be of absolutely critical importance. And one thing that I've found in house music is that there are some really super subtle differences sometimes between the timings of certain beats, and the ones that sound good and energetic generally have this tweak, okay? And that tweak is, we highlight all of our drums and we zoom way in, and we can use control or command 1 to zoom in on timing divisions, and we're zoomed into 1/512th of a beat now. Okay, if we zoom out, we can't even really see all those divisions. As we zoom further in, they divide and divide and divide even more. And the difference that I found is that the hype beats start a little bit ahead of the snare hits start a little bit ahead of the beat, and that super slight anticipation is enough to make it feel a little bit more exciting. So if we undo that, we could go even further. It's 1/256th now. So there's probably some inherent delay in the actual note performance too. So we might have to overcompensate, or we might have to record all of this stuff to audio and kind of tweak. But um, if you're making future house, if you're trying to go for that like Oliver Heldens style, the kick drum has to be anticipated as well. And if we're trying to make funkier music, hip hop, lo-fi hip hop, anything that's got more of like a laid back vibe, then we might delay certain hits, the backbeat, the certain kick drums. I like to kind of keep the one pretty tight, right? Um, uh, the one is kind of the thing that it all comes back around to, and you can go ask James Brown about that. Okay, so we got a bit of a beat here, and I think maybe we should have done that tweak earlier, because now we're gonna have to go through and nudge all of these, and we'll do this one. And we could also turn on like the adaptive grid, which does all that for us. And maybe this one we'll leave as it is. We'll see just a little bit of difference. And then we can also select all of these and apply the same groove to them. So we'll just do that 55. Actually, this one, that beat, that last different beat, will switch to no groove. Okay, let's. Okay, we got some stuff. We could even put this in an arrangement at this point. We're gonna keep the arrangement super simple, but now we need to move on. We need to create another instrument. Actually, maybe what we should do is record these really quick. That way we can have the mix going. And we didn't have that many tracks, but we need to turn on the I/O so we can see what we're doing. Come on now. Ableton's running slow because of this polyplex. Okay, so let's, or what we might be able to do for now is just freeze this. Oh, fuck that. Okay, we're just going to record a little bit. We'll take the resampling. This up. Solo the kick drum. Okay, we got the kick drum coming in. That's kind of low. Why is it so low? Let's try that one more time. And just bring the volume up a bit on the whole kit. Okay, that'll do. We'll just move this on down over here. Oops, that's the one we want. Record that. Oh, of course, now it's resampling everything. We're just going to come from Reactor then. Okay, there's a hi-hat. Do the snare. Okay, that'll do. Then what else? Oh, we had the open hi-hat. Okay, put that over here just with the other hi-hat. And then we had like a, that's the same thing without the kick drum. And then we had this thing. So let's record this kick. Whoops. Ah, it stopped. Fucking thing. Okay. Wait, now. There we go. Okay. And we'll do the snare as well. In fact, we're just going to do this whole part as a complete beat because we're going for a lo-fi. Okay, and that's just going to be like a drum fill anyway. Okay, let's get rid of that track. And now we've got our beats. And now we can turn off Reactor. And we can turn off the plugin itself completely. Okay, and we can come back to it if we want. But now it's disabled. It's going to be quiet and just sit over there. Let's just stop this thing. Might be useful to rename these. Can we use emojis now on Ableton names? Okay. And, you know, we can make some variations on these too. We could take this and make it just the second half. So it's just 2 and 4. Okay, so let's find some cool samples. Now that we got all of that messy plugin stuff out of the way, let's go to my downloads where I have that Jamie LIDELL sample pack. All right, so let's listen to some of these. Let's hear what these sound like. We're gonna watch the preview level over here, and oh, it's already nice and lo-fi already. Okay, let's bring that over to our MIDI channel. Drop it there. It'll put it in a sampler for us. Let's see what else we have in here also. Let's just open this up slightly. Big names. Jamie LIDELL is a producer. Put that on a new audio track. Jamie LIDELL is a producer and vocalist and podcast host, and he produced this sample library. It's on Bandcamp. I think I posted the link in here earlier, but that's it. And so we got a bunch of cool stuff in here. A lot of long samples. Yeah, they're very lo-fi already. Like that. Make some cool risers or something like that. Okay, and here's, I think, some vocals. Those aren't the vocals I expected. All right, we're going to work with that one maybe. Let's see, anything else here? Okay, that's some cool shit already. Some modular stuff in here. And I was thinking something like this. Let's turn this track off. So we just loaded this one sample into Simpler, and we put it into slice mode, which automatically slices it up into pieces. We could change how big those pieces are or how it slices them up. Right now it's looking for transients, and it's putting slice points all up and down in there. And if we go down to like C -2, or is it C1? It just slices all of these pieces up and applies them going up the keyboard from C1. So let's like get the beat going. Okay, keep in mind my timing's all fucked up because the latency is insane. I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna hit this little box up here, which captures what I'm playing as I'm playing it, and that way I don't have to hit record. It just is recording all the time. And so now we got a chunk of that. Maybe what we can do is quantize all that stuff, which will inevitably shift things around and kind of fuck up what I've been doing. I'm gonna group my drums. That way I can acceptably tweak these and mix them, bring them all down a little bit. That's a little too quantized for my taste. Let's try one of these over here. Okay, I'm gonna basically make this a 4-bar loop. I'm gonna move the starting point for that loop into the middle at bar 15. That way we get the maybe a little bit simpler first half, and then the second half is this more like bent one. That kind of works okay. Maybe we take saturator. Let's just get the mix effects out of there for now. Take that saturator. Maybe we'll jive it up a little bit. maybe we will compress it first. Not to destroy my studio in the process of making this track. Okay, so all right. Let's maybe over here on the master, just for our listening pleasure, we'll throw in a low pass filter way up at that 10,000. And the Africas. Okay, so we're gonna do that. We'll do that next, and then we need a bass line for sure. Okay, so that's maybe like an A section, right? Like that'll maybe get us somewhere, but then we need to maybe arrive somewhere, and maybe that's where the bass line comes in. Let's see. Let's listen to these again. That's way sped up. I really like that. I'm going to take a loop of this starting at bar 5. Okay, that's not an even loop. I see. Let's make that, and then that seems about right. Instant great vibes, but let's take it down an octave. Now it's double the length of it. Okay, I really dig that, actually. We're going to take that, we're going to duplicate it. The first half of it, we'll just make 1 bar. Now it's starting to really feel a little more lo-fi. Before we duplicate it, actually. Okay, we're gonna take the clip envelopes here, and I'm gonna go to clip transposition. That's pitch transposition. So what I'm gonna do is highlight a certain segment, right click, and I'm gonna select the sine wave. Okay, now it's going 8 octaves in pitch up and down. So I've got a sine wave here. And with that still highlighted, remember we can grab these little boxes up in the corners and in the kind of middle area. I'm going to grab the one up here at the top in the middle. I'm just going to shrink that down. And then I'm going to do the whole thing again. Just trying to add a little bit of pitch shifting in here, but I want just a slim range of it. Okay. And then let's see. Can I just, whoops. Let's highlight that segment again. Let's see, maybe I can just, bring this whole thing up to around there. fast. Let's take that again. And now we're going to take this one and drag it out times 2. There we go. Let's take it back a couple steps here. I think I went too tiny with it. Let's keep shrinking it down. Have to be a little bit more noticeable than that. Okay, let's try that. And then moving that up. Oh yeah, that's a lot more noticeable. Okay, and then we'll stretch that out times 2 and duplicate it. Oh yeah. Let's undo that. Let's stretch it out again all the way across. Okay, here's the trick. It's a little too synchronous, right? Especially for the lo-fi vibe. We need it to all kind of like feel a little bit more organic. So we can turn off the linked function here for this loop. And when we do that, the length of our pitch modulation can change. We can change the length specifically of this loop. And so I could make it a little bit longer or shorter. Like, what if this loop is like not quite a whole bar, not a little bit more than a whole bar, but not at an even beat division, right? So we'll highlight this thing again, and then we'll stretch it out to like there. Okay, that's also still like a little bit extreme, so maybe we'll just like kind of shrink it down a little bit more by squeezing from the bottom, and then I think we can just, oh shit. Okay, and then we'll grab the whole thing and bring it down again. Still a little bit much. So let's see. If I zoom in, maybe I can just bring this down a little bit. Oops. Yeah, I'll bring it down by, I'm holding the shift key now as I bring this down, and then I'll do the same over here. Doesn't have to be exact. Different length here. Maybe that's too much. We're going to throw the compressor on there and sidechain it to our kick. I don't know about that. I don't know about that pitch envelope. Still seems a little bit too much. Let's bring it down so it's less than half. Oh shit. Totally out of key too. Our tuning might be screwed by this by this thing. Maybe they just aren't supposed to be played, but at the same time, maybe that's what it's supposed to be. So let's duplicate this again. We're going to come back here to this whole loop. Watery chorus or something. Ah, that's a good idea. Let's try that on this thing. It didn't duplicate. Hi-hat's way too loud, or snare's way too loud. Gotta bring some sanity back to this. Okay. This is pretty cool. Set. So we're doing some time stretching now. Let's just nudge some of these things around. Let's see what happens. We can highlight this and Command U, and it will, in theory, quantize these pieces. There we go. That kind of did it. What's up, Christian? Good to see you. Did I say hi, Wambra? Jason, everybody else who's shown up. Thanks for coming in here. Okay, again, maybe we have two versions of this. One's the 1-bar version. One's the 2-bar version. Okay, that'll like be the end of the phrase. Shrink that back down. Okay, we got some cool shit going on now. Let's find that like the percussion stuff. That's the thing that's left. I like the blips and bloops coming out of that. But let's make something out of a drum sound. Okay, I'm gonna go into the drums category in Ableton in drum hits, and in here we're gonna find there's a couple of things that we could try out. We could try out some of the Latin percussion instruments. If we go under packs, there's a really useful free pack from Ableton called Latin Percussion. And this will all show up in the rest of the library once it's installed. But it has a bunch of um, Latin percussion instruments, basically. So we could try out something like bossa nova. That'll probably be more like. We go under instrument kits. Then we have like the individual instruments. Some of these are pretty good. But then we can also go to like the drum hits. These are the actual individual samples. So we could go to like conga samples. And just to um, just to maybe give some context here, I initially majored in hand percussion when I went to Berkeley, and after a semester as a hand percussionist, I switched to drum set and promptly found um, electronic music in the process. So uh, I have congas in the house. So we don't have to do this from a sample, but we're going to do it from a sample right now because we're not even really looking for like a true conga sample as far as I'm concerned. We're going to bring this down here, and um, and if you listen to some of the LPGOB tracks that we've done together, we use a lot of percussion. We've recorded a lot of hand percussion stuff in that project. Um, okay, so we got this. Oops, not that one. Okay, so maybe what we'll do is we'll just create a short clip and we'll put a hand percussion note in there. That way we can just play it along with our beat in here. And I generally prefer some syncopation with a sound like this. We're trying to fill in the gaps in between the bigger beats that the kick drum and the snare tend to reinforce, and we're trying to give a little bit of that butt shaking vibe. So that's where the syncopation starts coming in, and we could use more than one note, but even one note is maybe enough at a certain point. Okay, and then so I don't want this to sound like a conga so much either. So I'm gonna process the hell out of it. We're gonna take that drum. We're gonna load in a compressor. We'll just put that in here. We're gonna just cram the hell out of that thing. I'm also listening with one ear the whole time we're doing this. This is my downfall on the techno track. And before that, let's see, let's put a saturator in. Before that, might even, maybe we'll put in some redux too. Redux will do some downsampling, giving us a lo-fi vibe that way as well. So we're just gonna like don't want it to be that thick. So I'm going to group the redux. This puts it in a audio effect rack where we can create two chains, not the wrapper, but two signal chains that will be in parallel. So one channel will be clean. The other one will be the downsampled version. So together, sounds a little bit less distorted, maybe. I like this compression. Maybe go the other way. And this is kind of a weird sound. Might be cool to use like the Haas effect or something, which I thought I had a downloaded tool for that, but we can just do that with the built-in delay. And maybe this will come through. The Haas effect basically just creates the perception of there being a left and a right channel. So if we decouple the left and right delay, we turn them both off sync, and we shorten one side to 1 millisecond, the other one to like, you know, somewhere between 1 and 8 milliseconds or so. We'll just leave them the same for now. No feedback, all the way wet, no filter. So right now it should basically sound the exact same. It's just 1 millisecond delayed because we're hearing only the wet version. But as we slightly turn up the right or left time, I usually do the right. I don't know if that's just a me thing, but all of a sudden, instead of hearing this as a mono signal, because it's not technically mono, but we should just be a little bit more aware that there's a very slight difference between the left and the right now. It's extremely minute, but it's enough to give our ears the sense of something's happening there. Maybe we EQ that sound as well for the delay. Okay, and now we need some bass. Okay, and maybe this is where we, this is where we add in a little bit of the bass house vibe. We'll see. I feel like this thing is the A section now, and maybe this thing could be... Maybe that's like the build up, and then the drop will be this bass sound that we'll make now. Let's try it. Let's try it out. Let's see what these sound like. Oh, that beat came together. Okay, I'm a lot happier with that than I was 5 minutes ago. Let me know if that's too loud. Okay, so bass sound. I use operator for most of these basses, and we've talked a bit recently about FM synthesis and operator. So I want to make some, not wobble bass per se, but something that has the effect of a continuously modulated tone. And now I got this weird latency in my ear. So we're gonna take this thing and let's see what we can make out of this. And I have to say, one of my favorite labels is Night Bass, and you hear a lot of this kind of like UK garage and bassline type of bass tonality. It's kind of like a drum and bass, reaching back to that era where FM synthesis started to really come into the bass range. So. Okay, I'm going to turn on envelope looping. And I'm going to switch this to beat mode, which should give us a beat division. And then I have to maybe dial in the envelope shape. Otherwise, we just get this really in-your-face effect. I'm going to lower the sustain. And automatically, we should get the looping happening. This is basically an attack decay loop. So if there's sustain, we're not going to hear so much of this. I guess it would help to figure out what key we're in. Okay, a little bit closer. We're also pretty close on the bass. Might need to. This is where operator starts to become a little bit of a hassle, because slight detuning of operator is a complete impossibility from what I can tell. I guess we'll go with. I guess that works. Just have to detune this one up. Okay, and these things aren't going to be playing anyway. Okay, maybe we'll do it in like the relative minor. Sounds pretty bad. Oh well. It's kind of supposed to sound bad, Ed. It's lo-fi house. We're not going to hear most of those things at the same time. Okay, we're gonna make this monophonic, one voice at a time. Oops. Turn on a little glide. And that when these notes end. Now maybe speed it up a little bit. This is going to have to be sidechained. Try a different modulator. Try one of the lower bit rate or bit depth sine waves. Bass sidechaining to the kick, yep. Could try square wave down here. Oh yeah. And we could modulate the level or the coarse tuning, or we could bring in another modulator to kind of increase the intensity over time. Probably have to be a little more subtle than that, but want the bass line to go downwards? Sure. We could highlight those and invert these. What if we invert these? Gotcha. Let's reinvert those. Select those. To answer your question, one on yes, sidechaining is pretty common even outside of electronic music at this point. They do it in country music. So it now it, in electronic music, it's going to be generally a lot more intense. Uh, I like to overdo it with the sidechaining, and the more big room festival stage style the music is, the more intense that sidechaining could be. And some people do it with other plugins these days. They use things like there's one called Shaper Box, which is really popular. LFO Tool is from X for Records, who makes Serum. Um, so yeah, LFO Tool, as I recall, was for a while kind of the big one, and then Shaper Box has kind of usurped its place in the uh, pseudo side chaining role, but it's a lot more complicated to use, and LFO Tool is like 25 bucks or something like that, so it's pretty cheap. But we're really just talking about that inverse relationship and volume change. So getting there. I don't know, is it too grungy? What's up, Astrofish? I don't know. I kind of like the semitone movement, but whatever. It's all good. Okay. Let's. All right, we got some pieces. Let's see what else we need. Let's put this together into some sort of arrangement fast. Okay, and then we can start doing some manipulation of automation and things like that. Okay, we're gonna take all of this. Oh yeah, we forgot we have a couple other sounds too. Okay, we're gonna use that too. Let's stretch this out. Okay, that might be cool in the beginning. Okay, let's just take all of this stuff. I'm going to click it like I'm going to drag it somewhere. While I'm still holding it, I'm going to hit Tab and just bring all of this stuff over here. Come on, Ableton. Creep on up there. Snares. Okay, and then that should be, I believe, it. Boom. Okay. Now everything's over here. We can focus our attentions. And, okay. We're going to, which one is this? This is the fill. Okay, so we're not going to use that for a minute. Let's take, that's our snare loop. Boom. There's our slightly funkier, longer snare loop. And we're just going to try to keep it simple with the arrangement. Let's get the kick drum going. Let's grab all of these things and move them on down the line. Oh, come on. Set all of these things. There we go. We didn't get that other funkier hi-hat pattern. We might have to switch things up a little bit. All right, let's bring this over here. Okay, we'll probably make those changes in the to the baseline, that is in the arrangement view here. Okay, let's see. We're going to save that for the build-up. We're going to make a loop out of this thing. Create another track. We're going to super sidechain compress it. Could have just copied this from another channel, but okay, and then we were using, this is the, I have to retune this one. try frequency shifter on this, actually. Let's try that instead of transpose. Weird. Oh. This is why we don't use frequency shifters to do our transposition. Doesn't sound right. This needs something else, like... What is happening? Ah, it's because the kick drum went away. Okay, so we're gonna create a duplicate kick drum channel. This is the downside to compression, sidechain compression, as opposed to using one of those shaper box things, is that we have to have that kick drum going in some sense. And now we need to tell all of our side chains to look to that silent kick. Okay. Not that one, that one. That one. And that one. beat's gonna go. Okay, and scoot this stuff down. Something has to happen there. Get that energy building. This keeps going. That bass needs a little bit of... Might be too much of a diversion there. And let's see, let's right there split that bit. I'll make this now. Whoops, that's a little bit uneven. And maybe we throw auto filter on here. Put it into high pass mode. Something like that. And we'll just turn this on. There. No, let's turn it on down here. Oh, keep that silent kick going, and then
there's that vocal sample. Maybe we can just sneak that in that last beat. Okay, this needs to go on its own track. Whoa. I like that. Okay, there's something getting stuck up here. Must be that last sample. Ah, yeah. Now that is... Okay, we're going to have to just mute the channel there, because if I put another slice in there, it's going to mess up all my other slices. So I'm just going to turn this channel off right there. Maybe we'll just nudge that a little bit ahead. And I think we need to give this kick drum a little bit of love. And maybe we'll duplicate that and have a little bit of a level increase right around here. Maybe a little too grungy. Something like that happening in here. So we're getting there. I think maybe we'll leave it for here today. And before we go, let's consider what else we need. I think we need something to help at the end of these 8-bar segments or so, to maybe some drum fills, something to give us a little bit of like, or maybe not even a drum fill, maybe just like another piece of this other beat or something like this. Something to like give us a little bit of a feeling like there's a cycle happening, right? Like there's some sort of pattern that's being repeated. That's maybe what a drum fill is useful for. Maybe we save this piece and just use this and this as our first half. Right? Like, what if this stuff is just deactivated temporarily? We extend this out. I don't know if this will sound good at all. I think the problem is that this piece is just too long. 4 bars is kind of a long phrase for house music. Yeah, okay, so maybe that's what we could do at the end there as well. Oops, not track volume. I want amount and rate to increase and come back there. So 2 bars. Just kind of like intensifying slightly. have like some very simple variation. The hi-hat pattern there. It's not really a drum fill, but that's a little too much of a nudge. That's better than nothing. Then we can copy that whole piece. Including the compressor stuff. We'll just put it right there. What the There we go. Okay, so I think we'll cut it there and reapproach this maybe next week. Maybe I'll finish it. We got closer, got further along than last time. Need a second half to our drop. We need another breakdown and another drop, but starting to get there. We have a few different pieces to work with, and now we just need to marry those together in some sort of way. So getting closer. Lo-fi house, not, not fully my bag, but an interesting exposition at least. I think it still needs to be a little bit more lo-fi. We could lo-fi it up a little bit more. We'll see. We'll play around with it a little bit more and try this again. Okay, tomorrow we get back to maths, and Friday we'll do another sound recreation reverse engineering exercise. So bring in your sounds that you want to recreate on Friday, and we'll see what that delivers us. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Come back. So, yeah, just seeing what comes out of this process. Sometimes it's a winner, sometimes it's not a winner, and I thought that was that had some pretty good moments in there though, and maybe we can spruce it up with another walloping kick drum at the end too. But yeah, any thoughts? Let us know. Tell me in the comments. Tell me what we're missing. Tell me what we could do better there. What more can we add to keep this lo-fi? I think we need to maybe play around with some preamps a little bit more, overdrive the signals, give them a little bit more of that distorted, busted up color. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, this is Voltage Control Lab. We'll be back tomorrow at noon, getting back into some more maths. And yeah, go give us a like or a subscribe or a follow, or go sign up for our email list or something like that on our website. Something if you feel like it. And otherwise, we'll keep on going in 21 and some change hours at noon again tomorrow. All right. So I need a break from this light. I will see you guys later. Thanks again so much for coming through. Really appreciate your participation, and you're keeping me company, keeping this rolling, giving me feedback, positive and negative. I'm down for it, and this is always a an experiment to see what can come from the process, and it's not always going to be solid gold, but this is like a half finished painting right now. It's not there yet. It's not to that point where I'm ready to necessarily share it with the world. So, but maybe we'll get there with it. And all right. Well, thanks, you guys. See you tomorrow.